Okay, as the search for a missing New Canaan mother named Jennifer Dulos continues, the state police have once again returned to Hartford.
And police have searched through the trash plant on Tuesday. Investigators are expected to go back there today. Sources say they haven't found anything connected to Dulos. Surveillance cameras caught two people that matched the description of Fotis Dulos and Jennifer's estranged husband and his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, driving around the city and throwing things into trash cans, specifically along Albany Ave. Now, both of them are facing charges accused of tampering with evidence and hindering the investigation. Now, meanwhile, a custody hearing is set for this morning in Stamford after Jennifer Dulos' mother, Gloria Farber, filed for custody of the 5 children. Now, they've been staying with her, their grandmother, in New York City since the day Jennifer was last seen. The children's father, Jennifer's estranged husband, 51-year-old Fotis Dulos, is still behind bars. He has not posted bond yet. 2 years ago, Jennifer told the court that she was, quote, afraid of her husband, according to court documents. Now, right now, we want to welcome prominent defense attorney Norm Pattis to the studio this morning. Now, Norm is not an attorney on the Dulos case. He has plenty of insight on a case similar to this one.
And there's a lot to get into. First and foremost, good to see you again. It's been a while. Thank you for your insight on this. We're going to start with just where we are and not get too far ahead. There are charges against Fotis Dulos and Michelle Troconis. How are those going to affect the custody battle that is now starting to be waged out?
The custody battle is problematic. The court has to make a decision about what's in the children's best interest. Mom is missing. They're 8 to 13 years old. They've had a day-to-day relationship with the grandmother throughout their lives. This is a good place for them to sit for the time being. Court documents reflect that previously Mr. Fotis has been found to have lied to the court and disrespectful of court orders. It seems to me that this will be a no-brainer decision, that the grandmother will be given temporary custody of the children.
Yeah, I mean, who else would get them at this point? I mean, we don't know, but...
Yeah, the court would prefer a family relationship. She's ready, willing, and able to do it. You know, at 85, I don't know how spry she is and how well she's going to be able to keep up with those kids, but she'll find the means, and they need some stability in their lives.
Yeah.
Now, again, I want to stress that you're not involved in this case, but want to get back to the charges that Fotis Dulos and his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, are facing, impeding the investigation. Now, again, you're not involved in the case. If they were your clients, though, what would you be telling them?
Well, at this point, remain silent. I mean, it's not at all clear to me that they had a knowing impediment to an investigation. We're assuming that they were involved in the murder, and that's sort of the common sense play here. Angry man, passionate relationship with a new lover, custody battle. You know, he did it, everybody is thinking. Do we know that? Do we actually know what took place in the garage? All we know is that there was some blood there, and then they disposed of some items. I'm not sure that amounts to hindering prosecution. I'm not sure that amounts to impeding an investigation or tampering with evidence. It may, and it's the state's obligation to prove it. So from my perspective, if were I representing one of those, I'd be in an information gathering context, and I would not be offering information to the state.
Well, getting back to those drop-offs that we were talking about, 30 different drop-offs in city, the 2 were spotted. What is that doing to the case?
It's putting them behind bars in a $500,000 bond.
I mean, that's significant. Yeah. They were seen on surveillance video.
There's a legal doctrine known as consciousness of guilt. If a person does something that seems consistent with guilt, a guilty mind, well, a jury's entitled to infer that. You know, if you're dropping off items and some of them are her blood and there's blood in her garage, yeah, I mean, let's be real. What does that look like? It doesn't look like a cleanup crew, you know, trying to spare municipal authorities dismal work. It looks like you're trying to hide something.
But it's interesting you mentioned what does it look like? And in a very general sense, as a defense attorney, it's not your job to try to offer explanations, is it? Isn't that solely on the prosecution? And at this point, if you were representing them, it's just your job to start picking apart whatever story they try to provide?
A lawyer's role is to defend a client to the exclusion of the world, and that can sometimes put you in an unpopular place. The lawyers for these two right now are representing people that everyone has told the story about in their mind, that they killed this woman in a crime of passion. We don't know what happened in that garage. Right. Assume for the moment that she did die in the garage. Was it murder? Was it an accident? Did they panic and clean up after perhaps she slipped or somebody pushed her? Was one involved to the exclusion of the other, or did they both plan it? These are the sorts of questions you need to know to decide what the appropriate legal response is.
Yeah, and of course, just to make sure we're on the same page here, we don't know what happened to Jennifer Dulos. She's still, and we are hoping, is still alive, although statistically that is getting less and less likely as we're now on day 13, especially considering what else we know about blood being found.
This is a difficult case for journalists, I think, because the popular narrative is an easy story to tell, but the requirements of a fair trial are as follows. The state brings the charges, the defense has a right to remain silent, and it is the state's burden of proof to prove its case if it can. If it can't prove beyond a reasonable doubt what's necessary in this case, the actual means of causation of death, and without a body, that's always going to be an open question. This is a very, very difficult case.
It is. All right. Well, Norm, we really appreciate your insight into it.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Norm
again.
Pattis again.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you so much.
And stay with us here on Fox 61. We're going to have continuing coverage for you on these developments, as well as the ongoing search for Jennifer. Our team is going to bring you the latest information here on air on Fox 61, online, and on our Fox 61 News app. So make sure you stick with us.